Well, good morning on a Monday morning, or perhaps it's good afternoon where you are today. So, this is Jerry and Cheryl from CBC Success Group. I want to give you a little phrase to keep in mind for this week. And we put it up on the post when we started, which is COI. And what does COI stand for? It stands for cost of inaction. In other words, when you don't take action, what's the cost to you and possibly to your company? We often hear the term return on investment, but cost of inaction may be just as important. So, Sharon, when we talk about cost of inaction, what thoughts come to your mind that you would share with people today?
Well, basically, we see people that they're told things to that should work, or they read them, or they actually know them, but for some reason they don't try implementing them. And it's wasted money, it's wasted time, it's wasted effort if you go to the concept of trying to find things out and then just let it pass by.
Yep. And one of my favorite television shows to watch, and I usually tune it in if I'm traveling, I can usually get it on my hotel television, is Shark Tank. And Shark Tank is really a significant learning lesson for any entrepreneur to watch these five investors. Because on Shark Tank, what happens is someone with a bright idea, with a great business concept, goes before the five sharks. Now, when the five sharks hear the presentation, they've got to decide to take action or say, I'm out. And they always give the reasons why they're out. And you can see that they've come to conclusions very, very rapidly. But see, one of the problems in the real world is so often we simply do not take action and we suffer a cost at a later point. A really good friend of mine some years ago, his name's Ken Warren, who was kind of like a brother to me in a lot of ways. We did a lot of business together. We traveled together. And Ken used to describe it this way. He said, Jerry, this is the problem. There's a process for implementation. He said it's called ready, aim, and fire. And many people get this mixed up. In other words, they've got to get ready. And what means by that is they're going to look at what they've got and come up with their plan of how they're going to put this into action. The next thing they do is they aim their processes. They don't get carried away. They have a really good plan on how to carry this out. And then they fire the gun. But he said one of the problems is some people decide that the first part of the process is to fire the gun, and they really don't know how they're going to hit the target. Or other people sit there and they go ready, 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 and they just never move to the next step, which is aim the gun. So that's kind of a little thought process for you today, because that's one of the things that we often see. People know what they need to do and in their minds, but taking the time, investing the energy into these great ideas. So often they look back later and they just lost it. They did not grasp that opportunity. So Cheryl, what about you? Any thoughts come to your mind about the cost of inaction?
Well, just one that goes back years for me, and because it's my point of view, basically. And this is just a little different way of wording it. I mean, how many times in your future are you going to sit there and say, I wish I would have, I wish I would have, instead of I should have and should have when they did it? Many people just wait till their opportunities pass before they realize the golden doors open and they just don't walk through.
Right. So, so here's another one, Cheryl, and it goes again to the cost of inaction. And if you're an employer, possibly you have suffered through this, because I know clients who have done this, which is they need to know they need to make a tough decision in their business. It might be that they have a bad apple that is ruining their culture, but they keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off till finally one day they take this action. And what they find out then is they're suffering severe losses because that bad apple has done so much damage because they just refused to take that action that they needed to take. Do you see that happening with clients, Cheryl?
I see it happening quite a bit. I've seen you and I do the same thing. Not as long as some I've seen do it, but yeah, that's why people, they're always wanting to hire. But when you hire someone and you've got a bad apple there that's leading the pack, you're going to ruin that person. But I see it over and over daily.
Right. So let's share with you a little process. This is one that I would share with a client when they're faced with this difficult decision of action. And what I tell them to do is take a piece of paper out and draw a line right down the middle. And at the top on the left-hand side, put the pros, all the things that make it a good idea to do this, or that this person's a great idea. What do they bring to the table? On the other side, what's the liabilities of this person, or what's the liabilities, or what's going to be the bad effects? This is part of getting the ready and aiming. Okay, we think this out thoroughly, and sometimes we may need to talk to other people. Cheryl, you and I do that whenever we talk to our coaches. Would you say that when we go to our coaches, which is coaches, we have we have coaches, do you see where we do that sometimes in the conversations we have? We've got hard decisions to make about certain things and we go to others. Would you agree with that?
We do. And, you have to sometime because you're holding on to something. Let's just say it's revenue. It's the person that brings in revenue and that fear of letting them go, or they've been there a long time, or you feel guilty, or you. And sometimes it's just nice to talk to someone that can see it from a distance and help you feed through the reasons you're doing this.
Right. And it even goes down to our own company because CV6 Success Group, let's be straightforward. I own the company. I make the decisions for the company. But a lot of times I have ideas. Like I just had one this morning and I sent it out to you and Brandy. And I kind of detailed out what my plan was and said, hey, what do you guys think about this? And I'm looking for your input. And you and Brandy give me excellent input in how we proceed on. So that's also something that you need to do is consult with the mentors, consult with the members of your leadership team. Just like even though I own CB6 Success Group, it's mine 100%. I also rely on the input of my team members in the direction that we go in, and just don't fly off the handle randomly, but use the mentorship of others to help us arrive so we can start taking the action. And that's what we do here. And that's what I would suggest to you. So, Cheryl, anything else you would add today? Some thought processes for the weeks for the people who have given us the honor of listening to us this morning?
The thing I would say is if the opportunity's there or the need is, go for it. Don't ever wake up in a week and say, a week or a year or 2 years from now, and say, I wish I would have done it.
Yeah. And Cheryl, didn't you write a book? The title, what was the title of that book you wrote back there?
I like saying I'm glad I did instead of I wish I had.
There you go. So, hey, tune us in this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. What we're going to be doing this evening is we are doing a replay of our Friday broadcast interview we did with Bob Ferrari. And on Friday of this week, we have another special broadcast coming out, and that's going to be with one of our CFOs that's in our network. Her name's Patty Lawrence. And what we're going to be talking about Friday is how to fund your equipment purchases. What's the best way for you? Because there is no, this is the way you do it. And so Patty's going to dig down this week and help us out to give you some input on that. So anything you want to add before we bid everyone farewell and a great week, Cheryl?
All I can say is anyone that has a chance to hear this past Friday's ought to be there.
It should be. The gold nuggets that came out of that were phenomenal. And there you've got somebody that's sharing their life experiences, their highs and their lows. He's climbed to the top of the mountain, and he also fell in some of the deepest, darkest pits in this lifetime of anyone I know. So I can guarantee you that hour, if you spend it in that interview listening to it, that'll be broadcast again today on the replay at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be well worth your time. And with that, we wish you the best week possible. We hope that this week brings you everything you're looking for. Remember, it's all up to you to make it happen. Don't depend on others to make it happen for you. Go forth, make it happen for you, your family, and your business. And with that, let us know if we can help you out here at CB6 Success Group at any time. Talk to you later. And again, have a